Saitama versus Ichigo. Is it close? No, it's not. Here in this video, I will be debunking Toaster's Saitama versus Ichigo, where he have Ichigo winning. No offense to him, he's a chill guy, but that video was an L.
The immense scale of this clash becomes apparent as a colossal cluster of stars, conceivably even millions of them, ominously vanish in the background. This pretty much just means that Saitama's potential to obliterate not only a multitude of solar systems or stars, but potentially entire galaxies.
Actually, many have misconception about where does this feat scale. So to clear them, this feat scales to low ranges of multi-galaxy level. As we have seen, the void created by them resembles like a Boots void, which generally is big enough to contain galaxies. It is also consistent due to the fact that light from multiple galaxies can reach Jupiter and can easily be seen from Jupiter within one Punchman verse. It's also consistent through authorities having statements like Arrow gained the power to shake the universe, which also scales to multi-galaxy level. Murata once in an interview stated that Garou could potentially destroy the universe. However, he wasn't confirmed at all, which induces that he was at least pretty much sure that Garou's DC is reaching multi-galaxy level. So that feat reaching multi-galaxy level should not be considered that much impressive in One Punch Man verse.
Say that you dropped this Saitama into pre-Blood War, he'd absolutely mop everyone in it without a question. As Ichigo, or characters of scale to Ichigo, don't really have fates that compare to Saitama and Garou's clash. And really, we only get to that point in the Thousand Year Blood War with the introduction of the self-proclaimed strongest Sternritter. And probably the biggest feat up until that point, that I mentioned in several other Bleach videos, is Gremmy literally creating outer space with nothing but his own imagination. Now, several people will argue with their last leg that he didn't actually create it, but only created a portal, or even that is just objectively wrong. We're given the feat in the manga, and not only does it not state it's a portal in neither the anime or manga, but the light novels double down on it not actually being a portal, and instead actual outer space being created. Now, you might be able to argue this is multi-solar system due to the anime not showing a galaxy or whatever, but the actual author's intent is still blatantly there, with the galaxy being shown in the manga, and the expanse that Gremmy created literally being called outer space, which by definition is the physical universe beyond the Earth's atmosphere. It's very clearly just portrayed in a different way to the manga, but just putting simple thoughts into it doesn't really disprove there being galaxies within it.
They are right, Grammy created a portal to the outer space. Assuming Grammy created stars is so inconsistent within the battle. Even the authorial intentions does not grant Grammy that high scaling. In the battle, Grammy was heavily shocked by the fact that Kinpachi's slashes can cut through a meteoroid, which is just a moon level of feat. Due to that shock, Grammy decided that he will use nothing to kill Kinpachi so that Kinpachi can't cut through it. Hence, it does not make sense to the plot that he will create additional stars in the outer space to beat Kinpachi, while implying the word nothing. The same Grammy with 7 clones created a small explosion which harmed the Kinpachi. So it does not make sense and consistent that someone who is impressed by a moon level of feat can perform a multi-galactic level of feat. At the same time, Jeremy died by imagining himself as strong as Kinpachi. However, this was the part with the plot and consistency. Now, the novel statement of Jeremy creating outer space can just be interpreted as his ability to instantly create a space that connects to the outer space, which by definition would be a space outside a planet's atmosphere. Even in the Bleach Brave Souls game, which is canon to the Bleach series, it has been stated that Jeremy just opens a portal to the outer space, which makes more sense rather than claiming that he created the outer space.
This feat is actually far inferior to what Yuha, the son of the Soul King, does towards the end of Bleach, where he finally gets closer to his goal of destroying the Soul Society, World of the Living, as well as the Hueco Mundo. The Soul Society is stated to be two sides of the same coin in comparison to the World of the Living, which
Soul Society and World of Living being stated to be two sides of a coin can just implies that how they are opposite of each other, just like head and tail, by one having life and another having dead existence, making up existence aka a coin.
is on top of the other realms or dimensions like the Hueco Mundo, Soul Palace, Hell, etc., etc. And we're actually given direct answers to how these places are reached within the series, and it's through these gates because they're places that you can physically travel to, which also means they should be different spaces and not necessarily the same.
Claiming that these realms are just different space times just because some gates are used to travel through them is completely false and implies nothing like being a different space time and having a different time axis, so that's just a non sequitur.
And using the light novels, the Soul King holds the universal flow to these three realms. We know these realms aren't necessarily planet-sized due to the Soul Society holding all souls that ever existed or will exist eventually, which
He is also ignoring his own scans. That scan does not say Soul Society has all souls in it that ever existed or will exist eventually. Even the scan in the last line says once a soul has spent a certain amount of time in the Soul Society, it is reborn into the human world. So it is just a cycle of souls and humans between the world of living and soul society.
It also just means that the term world is interchangeable with realms or just these dimensions. Not to mention there is actual celestial bodies and stars within the Soul Society, and it
Also, there is no evidence that those stars are present inside the soul society. Claiming that stars exist within that scan is just like saying stars are inside the earth just because they can be seen from Earth.
Now, going back to Yuha's whole plan, if the Soul Society does indeed get destroyed, the universal flow of everything else also gets destroyed, and by proxy makes this feat Universal Plus, due to it being almost like a domino effect type of thing.
The universal translation was a mistranslation. We know the word Sekai can just refer to a world or a universe, which here refers to the whole existence of life and death getting mixed up by Yavach.
This is also consistent with the fact that the Hyogoku is described as a hyperspatial realm, where hyperspace refers to a dimension that goes beyond the three fundamental dimensions of length, width, and depth. The first movie is considered canon because it is depicted in the manga, and Kubo effectively presents it in the Can't Fear Your Own World light novel, which is canon, and Ichigo is capable of destroying it. Ichigo also scales to Yuha, as we even see Yuha break Tensa's Zangetsu in the future, implying that he even saw Ichigo just running his pockets, qualifying Ichigo for fourth dimensional or universal plus levels of power.
He never used the same hyperspace argument for Saitama in his video is quite concerning. And the funny part is that the hyperspace in Bleach refers to a fictional dimension like Tangai, not a four-dimensional space. While in One Punch Man verse, it refers to a space. Hyperspace on its own does not scale anywhere in fiction unless proven how they are four-dimensional within the fictional verse. Also, he was so busy in highballing Bleach that he misinterpreted his own scan, where hyperspace was actually referring to the Tangai, not the Kyogoku. As explained by himself, the first movie was canon. The same movie refers to the world of living and the soul society as two hoshi, which either means star or planet. I could just explain in more details about how those realms are just planet size, but it will be quite long. If this video gets 20 likes, I will make another video for it. In conclusion, Ichigo is not universal or even close. I would give him star level scaling for this video.
Saitama, on the other hand, at least using certain scans, can potentially have infinite strength if you use things like this scan, where he's clearly displayed to have infinite strength. I want to make this absolutely clear before I keep going. I will grant Saitama this scan in whole, even though there are many things I can argue for this, like hyperbole, etc., due to him growing from infinity and clearly having finite power, and contradicting his own limitless statements and blah 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 blah. I will just give him the infinite strength stat, as I don't want to make it even seem like I'm downplaying him at all, and I will just give him the benefit of the doubt.
I don't think infinite strength is even necessary to beat Ichigo. I want to clear that Saitama does have infinite strength and scales to high universal at the least. The hyperbole argument here does not make sense at all by the fact that it was the only scan released by One or Murata on their own website. If I am correct about that, they own the website or not. It does not make sense that they will personally only post infinite strength scans on a wiki just as a hyperbole lol. And also it was after the monster association arc, so obviously it's for the power scaling of the verse. And the argument where people use that since Saitama was growing in the battle, so it contradicts his infinite strength, the argument is quite dumb. By that logic, an infinite size space in fiction cannot expand. Also, assuming that the graph was having finite magnitudes of strength will be a headcanon. It will just mean Saitama is reaching high levels of infinity or uncountable infinite strength.
Now, what does infinite strength mean exactly? Now, we went over how Saitama and Garo's fight was even stated that they were attacking in the third dimension. Now, have
Some people also try to argue that Saitama can't be four-dimensional because of that scan. It is completely dumb. No, the space is obviously three-dimensional, so you can only attack from the three dimensions. It wasn't talking about three-dimensional attack potency or something. However, I will not go through the four-dimensional scaling for One Punch Man verse to beat Ichigo.
So for actually scaling Ichigo's speed, there's several metas, and the main one I'm going to be using is through his multipliers. In the Can't Fear Your Own World storyline, Hikone possesses such incredible speed that time seems to come to a halt. During his confrontation with Kenny at the replicated Ryoka Palace, Hikone shines like a star. Even Grimmjow, who is known for his lightning-fast movements in his normal form, was unable to react to Hikone's speed while in the Kyogoku. It's worth noting that Grimmjow's base form is set to move at the speed of lightning, and when Grimmjow enters his resurrection state, he gains a tenfold power increase, which is evident from his ability to match Ichigo while the latter is in Bankai, and overpower a hollow mask wearing Ichigo in his resurrection state. The hollow mask not only enhances the power of Bankai, but also boosts Ryoku's speed, offense, defense, and spiritual power. All aspects are improved when wearing the mask itself. These Seros within the Can't Fear Your Own World light novels are stated to be beams of light, and referred to as light in several guides. Even Uryu, who is capable of moving faster than his own shadow within the Soul Society arc, is calculated to be around relativistic plus, which Ichigo would scale to. Keep in mind, this feat is pretty much just equivalent to that of Saitama being able to see his own reflection, if not slightly less impressive than Saitama's feat. The same Ichigo would later then get blitzed by Byakuya. If we go by how fast you actually have to be to blitz someone, it'd be around 2 times at the very least. whereas from this distance in the manga, it's been calculated to be around 7 times faster range. Byakuya then used his Bunkai, which is said to be a 10 times amp to all fighting stats, making him several times faster than that of Ichigo, who is relativistic, or about 1.5 times faster than light.
Worm form, it will be a headcanon to assume that the multiplier is for all stats. It will be a Rietsu and attack potency amp only unless using headcanons. The Bankai could potentially increase the speed. However, it does not mean it increases the speed with the same multiplier. Even my friends in Discord, those who mains Bleach, only consider it as a Rietsu amp.
Ichigo then uses his Bunkai and speed blitz that of Byakuya. If we actually use our lowballed speed calc, which is 2 times, then Ichigo would be 3 times faster than light, whereas if we use our 7 times calc, he should at least be 10 times faster than light, to which Ichigo uses his Hollow Mask, which is stated to be greater than the multiplier of Bunkai. Using this statement, we can either assume it's a 20 times amp as a high ball to an 11 times amp as a low ball, meaning that this should at the very least be 110 times faster than light.
In this scan, it refers to the power, not speed. Power again here referring to Rietsu or attack potency. So again, assuming speed multiplier will be a headcanon.
Ulquiorra is capable of blitzing Bunkai Ichigo, and is then shown being able to fight on par with Vizard Ichigo, who should at the very least be 110 times faster than light, which we can also scale Ulquiorra to. Ulquiorra then uses his release state, which is equivalent to that of Bunkai, which is a 10 times amp on top of his already Bunkai rivaling power, meaning that
Again, in this scan, it refers to power. Assuming power equals to speed, here will be a headcanon too.
Ichigo is stronger than any previous form of Ichigo, which we might be able to say it's twice as strong, whereas he's obviously far beyond that, but we're lowballing a bit here, meaning that we can probably say he's 352,000 times faster than light. Ichigo can then utilize his Hollowification, which is a relative amp to that of Bankai, which is 10 times off his previous speed, where he's then capable of stacking Bankai on top of this, which gives a crazy amount of 35 million times faster than light, just via multipliers.
So all those speed scaling for Ichigo by him are just based on headcanon multipliers. However, I do agree with the fact that speed bleach keeps 2x multiplier, but actually it's a 3 to 4x multiplier. However, those speed bleaches are not completely speed bleaches. He's not reaching 35 million times faster than light.
Shown creating an entire light constellation on the Jupiter's moon of Io. The calc for this is around MFTL plus via Garo fighting Platinum S within this time frame, and using the fact that the shockwaves are frozen in time, you can actually get this feat to 275,125 times faster than light, or MFTL plus, and
I pretty much agree with the Saitama speed scale. However, his speed scales higher than this, but I think I don't have to go any higher with because Ichigo's speed is not even close to. As for the title of this video itself, Saitama's serious sneeze is calculated to be star level. Saitama can easily lift Jupiter via this scan. The current Saitama is way stronger than the one who sneezed the Jupiter. So the current Saitama sneeze is enough to sneeze away Ichigo. And this matchup isn't even close.